Shelby Oaks is one of those horror films that stays with you long after the credits roll. From start to finish, it keeps a heavy, unsettling tone, focusing on tragedy, mystery, and a creeping supernatural horror. At the center of the story is Riley Brennan, a young, paranormal investigator who disappears under chilling circumstances, and her sister Mia, who is desperate to uncover the truth. Directed and written by Chris Stuckman, the movie blends different horror styles and storytelling techniques, mixing found footage elements, in-universe documentaries, and classic psychological horror. But even with all its twists and cinematic flair, the story at its core is deeply tragic, particularly when it comes to Riley's fate. Riley Brennan's disappearance drives the plot from the very beginning. She is known for her work on the Paranormal Paranoids, a YouTube paranormal investigation channel, which quickly gives her and her team a kind of fame. However, their notoriety takes a dark turn when the team goes missing while exploring the infamous Shelby Oaks. For a long part of the film, Riley's fate is unknown. While her colleagues are killed, Riley's whereabouts remain a terrifying mystery that keeps both the audience and her sister Mia on edge. The tension builds as Mia digs deeper into the events leading up to her sister's disappearance, slowly uncovering the dark truth. Mia's investigation reveals a horrifying chain of events. She follows a trail that leads her to Wilson Miles, a man connected to Riley's disappearance, who ends up taking his own life in front of Mia. This shocking moment intensifies the suspense and reveals just how twisted the situation has become. Following the clues, Mia eventually finds Riley held captive in the home of Wilson's mother, Norma. It's quickly revealed that Norma is under the influence of a demonic entity, controlling both her actions and those of her son. The horror intensifies as Mia learns that Riley's kidnapping is not just random violence. It is part of a larger, supernatural plan connected to Riley's past. Riley's history adds another layer to the story. From a young age, she was reportedly haunted by a demonic presence that appeared as an imaginary friend. Mia reflects on this strange childhood connection, realizing that the same entity, Tario, is involved in the present-day nightmare. The film frequently hints at these supernatural elements, including terrifying glimpses of hellhounds and other demonic symbols that tie Riley's past to her present. This connection explains why Riley became a target and gives the audience an unsettling sense that her fate might have been predetermined. The horrors of Riley's captivity are revealed gradually, each revelation more disturbing than the last. Norma forces her son Wilson to repeatedly assault Riley, resulting in the birth of a child. The film doesn't go into all the disturbing details of this sequence, but the ritualistic symbols and demonic imagery in Norma's home make it clear that the entity has a specific, horrifying purpose for both Riley and the baby. The scene is brutal and designed to leave the audience both shocked and horrified, cementing the dark tone that runs through the film. When Mia finally rescues Riley and the infant, the story takes another devastating twist. Riley, traumatized and seemingly under the influence of the demonic force, attempts to suffocate her own child. This leads to a violent struggle in which Riley is pushed out of a window and mauled to death by the hellhounds that have been haunting the narrative. It's a shocking and tragic ending for Riley, underscoring the cruelty and unpredictability of the supernatural forces at play. The film leaves Riley's importance to Tario ambiguous, creating an extra layer of dread and suggesting that some things in this story are beyond human understanding. Mia's decision to save Riley's son becomes a central turning point in the narrative. Despite the horror surrounding her sister's death, Mia manages to rescue the baby, which ties back to her own personal struggles. Earlier in the film, Mia and her husband Robert have been trying to have a child, but are unable to conceive. This longing for a baby adds emotional weight to her actions, as saving Riley's child fulfills a deep, personal desire while also setting up the final twist of the film. However, Shelby Oaks doesn't offer a clean or happy ending. The demonic force, Tario, is revealed to have orchestrated much of the tragedy to get what it wants, a mortal child. By ensuring that Mia becomes the guardian of the baby she always wanted, Tario manipulates the events to its advantage. The film closes with a chilling scene in which Mia, overwhelmed and terrified, is embraced by Tario, implying that she may now be bound to the demon's will, much like Norma before her. The ambiguity surrounding Norma's disappearance adds to the fear, suggesting that Mia could follow in her sister's and mother's footsteps, corrupted and trapped in a horrifying cycle of manipulation and control. At its core, Shelby Oaks is a grim exploration of tragedy, loss, and the powerlessness of its central characters against supernatural forces. It draws inspiration from classic horror films like Rosemary's Baby and The Omen, where children are central to the plans of demonic forces, and the adults around them struggle to maintain control. The film explores not only the supernatural horror, but also the human elements, media sensationalism, the desperation of a sister's love, and the societal pressures placed on women to be mothers and caregivers, often at the cost of their own autonomy. Riley and Mia's stories emphasize how women in horror often serve as vessels for others' designs, whether that's societal expectations, familial obligations, or, in this case, demonic manipulation. Riley's life, captured between her own aspirations and the violent control of Norma and Tario, highlights how her personal agency is stripped away, culminating in her horrific death. Mia's journey mirrors this theme as she becomes entangled in forces beyond her control, and her ultimate choice to save the child only partially shields her from the consequences of the demon's plans. The ending of Shelby Oaks is purposefully bleak. The audience is left with a sense of dread, knowing that the demonic force has won, that Riley's suffering was not in vain, but was manipulated to serve Tario's needs, and that Mia's life is now inextricably linked to this evil. The horror is both physical and psychological, rooted in trauma, abuse, and the feeling of helplessness that the characters experience. Even with the resolution of Riley's disappearance, the story closes on a note of grim inevitability, reminding viewers that in horror, victory is often fleeting and rarely clean. Shelby Oaks succeeds not only as a horror story, but as a commentary on trauma, victimization, and the insidious ways in which power and control can operate in both the supernatural and human realms. The film's multiple layers, from the haunted past of Riley to Mia's desperate investigation and the final revelation about Tario, combine to create a narrative that is both frightening and emotionally heavy. It's a story about loss, the consequences of unchecked evil, and the enduring human desire to protect and care for loved ones, even in the face of incomprehensible horror. Ultimately, Shelby Oaks is about the interplay between fate, trauma, and human choice. Riley's life and death, though central to the plot, serve to highlight Mia's journey and the moral and emotional decisions she must make. The demonic force, Tario, acts as both a literal and metaphorical symbol of manipulation and predestination, reinforcing the film's dark themes. The ending, with Mia potentially becoming another agent of Tario's will, leaves viewers with lingering unease and an understanding that in the world of Shelby Oaks, horror is never entirely defeated. Even as the story concludes, it raises questions about destiny, control, and the nature of evil. Was Riley always meant to be a victim? Could Mia have made different choices? Or was her fate also predetermined? These questions linger, creating an unsettling but compelling narrative experience that stays with audiences long after the film ends. Shelby Oaks isn't just a horror film. It's a dark, tragic exploration of human and supernatural forces colliding in a way that leaves no one truly safe, no one free, and no one untouched. By combining classic horror influences, psychological tension, and modern storytelling methods, Chris Stuckman has crafted a film that is disturbing, emotional, and thought-provoking. The narrative is relentless in its bleakness, yet it also captures the emotional reality of the characters' struggles. While Riley's story ends in brutality, Mia's journey adds depth, tragedy, and a chilling conclusion that elevates Shelby Oaks beyond a standard horror flick. It's a film that challenges viewers emotionally and psychologically, making it a memorable entry in contemporary horror cinema.